Alright guys, before I start this video, I just got done shooting it and it was literally 30 minutes long, so do not feel any obligation to watch this. This is essentially the story of where I'm at right now with drones and what this last weekend was like for me trying to qualify for the MultiGP regional finals. So it's literally just a lot of me sitting here at the workbench talking to you. Actually, it's pretty much all just me sitting at this bench talking to you. So feel free to watch it. Do not feel obligated. If you want to go to sleep but you're not tired, keep watching it. It might do the trick for you, but that's the deal. So let's jump into it. Long time since I've posted much on the channel. I wanted to take a second and give you guys a drone update. For those of you that followed our daily vlog last year, you know that late last year I actually got into flying robots. I started with the silly foam planes, thanks to tons of information from the guys at Flight Test, and eventually moved from that to the 250, 220 sized racing quads, mini quads. The first stuff I really found was freestyle pilots, and I thought that was cool, so I started kind of chasing after that a bit, and eventually found MultiGP, thanks to some guys' YouTube videos from Kansas City. That eventually moved me over to racing. I'm still one of the worst drone racing pilots on Earth. I think I've been to 5 or 6 events now, and I'm having a ton of fun, learning a lot. I'm slowly getting better and better and better. This weekend was pretty much one of the funnest drone racing times of my life. I really need to give props and a shout out to my sponsor, Christy Ames. My wife is amazing, super nice of her to let me go on this trip this weekend, and I wanted to fill you guys in with what happened this weekend and how it all went and that kind of thing. So MultiGP does a regional championship series. So the local chapters around here have been holding qualifying events. The top 5 pilots were advancing to the regional final that's going to be held in Des Moines the end of July. I really wanted to try to qualify for this MultiGP regional final race because all of the races are flying a set, spec'd out track that is dictated by MultiGP. And I have downloaded that track on my simulator I'm using now called LITFO, and I've been flying hours upon hours on that track trying to get better and better. I would really like to just fly it in real life. So that's been my motivation to try to get qualified for that race. I went to Topeka a few weeks ago and flew in their qualifier. If you're not familiar with MultiGP and the regional series, the way the race formats work is they run 2 practice heats and then 5 race heats. Of the 5 race heats, your best 3 count toward your scoring. The way the race heats work is you get 2 minutes to complete as many laps as you can. If you start a lap before 2 minutes is up, you get a chance to try to finish that lap, and as long as you don't crash, you get to count that lap. But you don't necessarily want to go super slow because your best time for however many laps is the tiebreaker. So that's kind of the format. On the Topeka race, I didn't do super great, but I had a ton of fun. I literally raced against some of the best pilots on Earth. So nonetheless, Topeka was a ton of fun. I learned a lot, and I definitely got the bug to try to qualify for this silly race. And then so this past weekend, there were 2 different regional qualifiers. One of them was in Des Moines, Iowa. Technically it was in a town called Elkhart, which is probably like 500 people. And then the next day there was a regional qualifier in Council Bluffs, which is essentially the Iowa side from Omaha, Nebraska. I wasn't exactly certain I was gonna go to either race because of stuff Christy and I had going on with real estate. We literally had open houses scheduled this weekend, and Christy made a deal with me that if one of the 3 houses we were holding open, if we sold it this last week, I could go to the races. I made the deal because we were really pretty busy and I didn't think I really needed to go to the race, and I thought it was a long shot that we would sell one of these 3 houses this week. And Thursday or Friday we got an offer that the seller turned into a contract on one of those listings, so it freed me up to be able to go to these races. So I had everything planned out, started packing the car Friday night, super late. To get to Des Moines on time, I needed to leave Moberly at like 5 a.m. But I was kind of running around and I wanted to buy a folding table to take with me. So I went over to Walmart and ran inside. It literally took me like 3 minutes. I grabbed the folding table, I got back out to the car, I got in the car, pushed the button, and the car would not start. My car literally broke down in the Walmart parking lot at 10 o'clock the night before the silly race. So I called Christy and she came and rescued me, and we both kind of kept going back and forth on whether or not it'd be a good idea for me to go. But then we kind of tallied up what Christy had going on Saturday, and we decided that she wouldn't need a vehicle, so I could just take her car and head to the Des Moines race, but then come home. That was kind of the deal we made. So I got home, I got everything switched over to Christy's car, got to bed. When I woke up on Saturday morning, I checked Facebook and I saw some photos from the course they had set up in Des Moines the day before, and realized that they were flying this evil drop gate. If you guys saw my most recent video, we built a drop gate from the MultiGP finals course. It's got a bit of an angle to it, so it's a lot easier. This drop gate with the Des Moines chapter is brutal. So instead of there being any angle, first off, it's 30 feet tall. Second off, it's dead flat. So you have to you literally have to dive through it. You can't just kind of coast through it or thread the needle necessarily. You have to dive through it. With that dive gate being the way that it was and the wind that we had was just vicious, I essentially set my camera to be completely flat and just putted my way around this course all day. During the practice heats, I kind of got a feel for it, and I thought that I could fairly comfortably complete 2 laps in each heat without crashing. And so my goal was to complete 2 laps for each of the first 3 heats, and then on the 4th and the 5th heats I could push it and try to get 4 laps. And judging by how much trouble the other pilots were having just finishing any laps because they were going too fast. So the first 3 heats I was able to get my 2 laps, giving me a minimum score of 6. The 4th heat I tried to push a little more. I did not get 2 laps. The 5th heat I tried to push a little more, and I think I even crashed out on that one. So I ended the day with 6 laps, which oddly enough ended up being good enough for me to tie for the 5th qualifying slot. Typically your best heat time would be your tiebreaker, but in this case the other guy's timing system wasn't working for his quad, so we had to do a race off and he kicked my butt because I'm turtle slow. I was so close to qualifying, super disappointed. I get back to the car and I go to get something to eat, and kind of on the way there I call Christy and tell her, man, I was so close, I would love to go to Omaha in the morning. And she kind of indicated that that might be a possibility for me. So I went up the road, found a place to eat. I ended up going to Chick-fil-A. I get inside, I ordered me a spicy chicken deluxe sandwich and go to pay for it with my debit card, and it does not work. My debit card does not work. Luckily, the total of my meal was $8.07, and I had $8 cash in my wallet. The guy spotted me 7 cents, and I sat down and ate my Chick-fil-A while I called my bank to tell them, hey, I am actually your customer, and I am in Des Moines, Iowa, and my card will not work. So I call up the bank. They're obviously closed. It's Saturday at 4:30, but there's a prompt that says if you need help with your debit card or card services, press 1. Whatever. So I press 1, this guy answers, and I tell him the situation. He's like, well, I can actually only do cancellations, I can't help you. And I'm like, dude, it said that this was card services, not just cancellation. He's like, well, I'm the guy you call if your card gets stolen and you need to cancel it. I'm like, well, my card did not get stolen. I'm stranded in Iowa. I have $0. I have less than a 4th tank of gas. And even if I drive home tonight, I don't have enough gas to get home. Super frustrated. I went back and forth with him. He refused to help me at all. He literally said that I have to wait till the next business day when my bank opens again. So I'm livid. I reached out to one of the only folks from our bank that I know, on Facebook. And I sent her a Facebook message, told her what was going on, and she was super nice to kind of respond to me and was trying to help me out. It dawned on me that maybe if I can find a bank or a bank ATM, maybe my card will work in that. And so I went over to Walmart and went to their ATM, and my card worked. So big time life lesson is that the reason my card was not working at Chick-fil-A is because they were running as credit, but the card did still work as a debit card. If the jerk on the phone would have just simply told me, hey, go try it as debit, it might work, that would have saved me all kinds of trouble. But instead he just wanted to argue with me about the fact that he can't help me. Anyway, I ended up being able to withdraw some money, and I realized from that point on, if I just run the card as debit instead of credit, it is a debit card, I don't use credit cards, but from that point on, I knew that it would work. So got a hold of Christy again, and we chatted and decided that I was gonna stay the night just west of Des Moines and then drive over to the Omaha area the next morning and fly the next race. So I find a hotel room that's cheap, Motel 6 in West Des Moines. I literally just spent a couple hours trying to get both quads up and running well. I tried to go to bed early because I was exhausted. Woke up Sunday morning and drove to Council Bluffs for that regional qualifier. And I got there and I got set up, and when the practice rounds came about, I started running the track a little bit and decided that I could run 3 laps really easily. And so I kind of had the same strategy as before to complete 3 heats of the most laps I knew I could finish without crashing. At most with my strategy, I thought I could get possibly heat 4 and heat 5, I could get 4 laps each and end up with 11 laps total for the day. As the day progressed, it went perfectly to my plan to start. I got 3 laps in each of the first 3 heats, which meant that I had a minimum of 9 laps for a score. 4th heat came around, I felt really good. I'll show you some of that DVR footage right here. And in the 4th heat, I was able to get my 4 laps in actually fairly easily, which made me think maybe I could get 5 laps in the 5th heat. I had 1 lap that was around the 30-second mark, which was pretty strong for me. I felt really good about it. 5th heat came along, and I think I hit the 1st or 2nd gate super bad, and I didn't crash out, but it got me way off my line. Definitely startled. I was shaking and just not flying well at all, and I'm bouncing through this course. I was so flustered, I wasn't exactly sure how many laps I had gotten. And the way these races were working is the guy that was on my video frequency in the next heat, he was in charge of spotting for my heat. So he would tell me if I missed a gate and I needed to go back through it, and he was also responsible for counting my laps. So I get done with my laps, and I thought I probably had 3 laps, and my spotter goes, "Hey man, good job, you got 4 laps." And I'm like, wow, I got 4 laps, that's insane. And then he was in charge of going and telling the race officials, you know, how many laps I got. And I was like, holy crap, I got 4 laps. Like, that means I very well might qualify. And I'm like, I don't even remember getting 1 lap, let alone 4 laps, because I was just so like out of my mind with the way that race went. I was literally banging through every gate. So it didn't quite set right with me, so I went back to my goggles and checked out the DVR footage. I'll show you some of that right here. Watched back the entire race heat and realized that in fact I only did have 3 laps. Pretty devastated, because in my mind at that point, judging by the way things were progressing, I really thought that 11 laps on the day was going to win me a spot in regionals, and 10 laps on the day was not gonna win me a spot in the regional final. So to be honest, I thought about it for about 2 minutes and then came to the decision that I was gonna go tell the race director that I did in fact only get 3 laps. I did. My spotter was there. I said, hey man, just so you know, like, I went back and checked the footage, and it was hard to tell how many laps I got because I was literally bouncing through all the gates. But I said I got 3 laps. Well, thanks for being honest, you know. But all the race heats got done. I would have had to have gotten 12 laps total to win a regional final spot. And the best I would have done, even if I had gotten 4 laps, would have been 11. So still a fun race. I was really happy with my flying. I was super disappointed just because I really thought I had a chance, and it didn't work out that way. But I packed up all my stuff, helped them tear down the course, and I went to dinner, Buffalo Wild Wings, with a handful of guys. Let's see, the race director from Des Moines, one of the chapter organizers from Kansas City, and then the race director and a chapter organizer and his family from Omaha. And had dinner and just had a blast chatting with those guys. Really enjoyed myself, but after that, I got in the car and headed back to Moberly, and I literally turned on my street last night at midnight. Crazy thing is, I get home last night, lay down in bed probably like 10 after 12. I mean, I tried to go straight to bed last night. And like most humans on earth, I opened up Facebook just to see if there was anything about the races on there. And the regional director guy had posted that they had done a math error, and although we thought 5 people from each race were qualifying for regional finals, that it was in fact 7 people per race that were qualifying for regional finals. So I actually qualified on Saturday while in Des Moines. It's amazing because not only me, but 5 other people as well have now qualified that didn't think they were going to. So I like to think it was a little bit of favor for doing the right thing and reporting my actual lap count So I got a lot of work to do. For the regional final, the top 6 technically get to go to Las Vegas. I would say that there's a better chance that I win the lottery than make that top 6, but I still want to try for it nonetheless and see just how much I can improve between now and then. Yeah, that's kind of the story. So in quad world, so you guys know, I've switched over to using the Betaflight F3 boards exclusively, which is a PDB and flight controller all in one. I had started this weekend, I actually ran them naked, which means that I don't have any top plate or anything, which worked out pretty well until I totally smashed into the drop gate in my last practice round in Des Moines. But the quads are flying super well. They're a lot lighter than I had been used to, but I've got the Betaflight board in there. This quad I'm running a Unify Pro VTX. The other quad I'm running a Tramp VTX. I've got the Free Sky XSR receivers. They're running great. They're running very similar, except for tonight I did something fun. If you guys saw my Moberly mini train video I made recently, I used the DVR footage from my goggles and it was awful. I wanted to come up with a way to easily put a GoPro on one of these builds, and so I 3D printed this race pod. It's pretty heavy. With the GoPro mount, adds about 30 grams, but it does add a lot of protection, and it also is a good way to mount the FPV camera. So I'm gonna leave that and I can take this GoPro mount on and off. I think this is the way I'm gonna rock the next race. That's kind of the current build at the Des Moines race, since at that time they thought I was the bubble guy that did not get to qualify for regional finals. The race director there gave me a whole bundle of these Racecraft bi-blades. So I put them on here tonight and did some flying. Finally got some HD footage, so I'll share some of that. But yeah, pretty excited about the Quopters. I've definitely come a long way. Thank you for tuning in. So sorry this was such a long video, but I just wanted to tell the story of my regional final qualification. So I'm gonna send you out with the footage of this from tonight, and we're gonna catch you next time. Thanks.